May 7th, 2025. Dawn breaks over the Kashmir Mountains. What happens next will shock military analysts worldwide. 5 advanced fighter jets, gone, shot down in a single engagement. But here's what nobody saw coming. The victors were flying older aircraft against one of the world's most technologically advanced air forces. How is that even possible? Today, we're diving into one of the most brilliant tactical deceptions in modern air combat history. This isn't just about missiles and radar, it's about outthinking your opponent when they believe they've already won. Picture this. India's air formation was terrifying on paper. Leading the charge, the AWACS, the AWNC, a flying command center with eyes that can see 500 kilometers in every direction. Think of it as a chess master in the sky, orchestrating every move, directing every piece. Behind it, the heavy hitters, Su-30 flankers, massive twin-engine beasts built for domination. Rafales, France's premier multi-role fighters, each costing over $200 million. And the agile MiG-29s. This wasn't just a formation. This was a statement of technological supremacy. The Indian pilots knew it. They flew with confidence, perhaps even arrogance. After all, how could they lose? But 30,000 feet below them, hidden in the jagged peaks of Kashmir, something else was waiting. The invisible trap. Pakistan's formation looked different, simpler, some might say inferior. JF-17 Thunders, Chinese-Pakistani joint ventures. J-10Cs, capable but not flashy, their own AWACS trailing behind. But here's what the Indians didn't realize. They weren't looking at Pakistan's Air Force. They were looking at a trap. Every element had been calculated. Every weakness had been weaponized. Every move choreographed weeks in advance. The Pakistani commanders knew something crucial. In modern warfare, the side that sees first usually wins. But what if you could make yourself invisible? What if you could turn the enemy's greatest strength, their all-seeing radar, into their fatal blind spot? The trap was set. Now they just needed the Indians to take the bait. The Vanishing Act. The moment Indian fighters roared off their runways, Pakistani early warning aircraft picked them up instantly. But instead of engaging, the Pakistani fighters did something unexpected. They vanished. Not literally, but to every sensor, every radar, every scanning system India possessed, they simply disappeared. How? They dropped low, dangerously low, 100 meters, sometimes less, hugging the terrain of the Kashmir Mountains so tightly that the radar waves from India's mighty AWACS couldn't penetrate the valleys and peaks. See, here's the dirty secret about radar. It's not magic. It can't see through mountains. And at 500 kilometers away, if you're below the radar horizon, hidden in terrain, you're a ghost. The Indian AWACS was blind. Their supposed advantage, their technological edge, had just been neutralized by basic physics and brilliant tactics. But the Pakistanis weren't done. The next deception was even more audacious. Radio silence. Every fighter pilot learns this on day one. Turn on your radar to see the enemy. But here's the catch. When you turn on your radar, you're also lighting up like a Christmas tree to anyone listening. So the Pakistani fighters made a decision that seemed insane. They turned off their radars completely. Total electromagnetic silence. They were flying blind. Or were they? Because while the Pakistani fighters went dark, their AWACS, positioned safely in the rear, were watching everything, tracking every Indian jet, monitoring every movement. Then, through encrypted data links, they fed real-time battlefield intelligence directly to the fighters. The Pakistani pilots could see the entire battlefield without revealing themselves. They had eyes, just not their own. It was like playing poker where you can see your opponent's cards, but they can't see yours. The Indians had no idea they were being hunted. The silent killer. Now comes the weapon that made it all possible, the PL-15 missile.
This isn't your grandfather's air-to-air missile. This is a 150-kilometer range assassin that can be launched from a fighter with its radar completely off. Think about that for a second. You can fire a missile without ever revealing your position. But how do you guide it? Simple. The AWACS feeds the target coordinates directly into the missile before launch. The missile's internal navigation system plots the course. During flight, the AWACS keeps updating the missile through a data link, constantly correcting its path. Only when the missile gets close, dangerously close, does it activate its own radar for the final kill. By then, it's too late to evade. The target never saw it coming, never knew who fired, never had a chance. The execution. But the Pakistanis added one final brilliant touch. They sent one fighter ahead, a decoy, deliberately exposing itself to Indian radar. The Indian fighters took the bait. They lit up their radars, trying to lock on to the Pakistani decoy. And the moment they did, the J-10Cs in the rear, silent, invisible, waiting, already had their firing solutions. Multiple PL-15s streaked through the dawn sky. The Indian pilots probably heard the warning tones, saw the missile alerts, started evasive maneuvers. But when you don't know where the attack is coming from, when you can't see your enemy, when missiles are approaching from unexpected angles, what can you do?
5 Indian fighters fell that morning. The world took notice immediately. The international defense community was stunned. On May 8, 2025, former U.S. Air Force General David Deptula stated, quote, "What Pakistan demonstrated was a masterclass in network-centric warfare. They proved that integration and tactics can overcome raw technological advantage. This will be studied in military academies for decades." British defense analyst Justin Bronk from the Royal United Services Institute remarked on May 9th, "The Pakistani Air Force executed one of the most sophisticated ambush tactics we've seen in modern air combat. Their use of terrain masking, electromagnetic silence, and off-board targeting was textbook perfect." The lesson: the Indians entered that battle assuming technology alone would guarantee victory. Better planes, better sensors, better weapons. They forgot the oldest rule in warfare: tactics beat technology. The Pakistanis understood something profound. It's not about having the best equipment. It's about using what you have perfectly. They turned their so-called weaknesses into weapons. Older fighters? Easier to operate in radio silence. Fewer resources? Focus everything on integration and coordination. Less advanced? Compensate with superior planning. And when the dust settled, they'd proven that in warfare, the thinking commander will always defeat the complacent one. Because at the end of the day, wars aren't won by the most advanced technology, they're won by the sharpest minds. They fought asymmetrically. They fought smart. On May 20, 2025, NATO released an internal assessment that was later leaked to the press. It concluded, "Pakistan's tactical execution on May 7th represents a watershed moment in aerial warfare. Future air combat doctrine must account for adversaries who can weaponize stealth, coordination, and terrain to neutralize numerical and technological superiority."
The Battle of Dawn, as it came to be known, didn't just change military history, it rewrote the rules. And the world is still trying to understand exactly how it happened. This has been the story of how tactical brilliance defeated technological supremacy, how the hunters became the hunted, and how one dawn in May changed everything we thought we knew about modern air combat.